News. 4 News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. There's word tonight of a new plan designed to increase support for a Target Center buyout. It's led by some of the businesses in the area.
And that business community in the warehouse district is the one sector of the Twin Cities that you'd think would unanimously support a public buyout. But that's not the case. Denise Saunders explains.
Completing the table setting at some warehouse district bars and restaurants this week is a plea to sign a petition in support of a public takeover of the Target Center. Owners are urging customers to support the petition, not only for the restaurant industry's sake, but for all businesses.
I would assume anybody who has a business in downtown Minneapolis, especially in the warehouse district, is affected, impacted some way or another when there is an event at the Target Center.
Affected? Yes. Positively? Not necessarily. At least that's the view of a neighboring merchant.
Because on any game night, you can't get a parking space in the downtown area.
Bobby Leibowitz and her husband Sherm own Rosenthal Furniture. They agree on one thing. Losing the Timberwolves or closing the Target Center would not harm their business. But that doesn't mean they agree on what should be done.
If there were no games at night, if there wasn't a Target Center, it would help our business, I think, rather than. So I'd like to see the Target Center go as far as a business.
I just think the whole area has been cleaned up, and the Target Center is the nerve center of it. I mean, if you were to come down back here, we've been in the store now some 34 years, and we've seen this whole area evolve from manufacturing to empty shells to a vibrant area now.
A vibrancy that may mean more to some than others. Denise Saunders, 4 News Tonight.
Next week, Governor Carlson's task force is expected to come out with a recommendation on how the public can help with the takeover of the Target Center.
Here's the latest coming into the WCCO newsroom. Police in St. Paul are investigating a murder. About 3 hours ago, a man's body was found at 851 East 7th Street. Police say the man was shot to death. And there was a murder tonight in Minneapolis as well. The body of a man was found in an alley off Park Avenue between 40th and 41st. He had also been shot. Police aren't releasing any more details of their investigation. Well, a man who spent more than 20 years working on city and county issues died this morning. Sam Savanich was 58 years old. He spent 8 years on the Minneapolis City Council representing the city's 1st Ward. Then he was a Hennepin County board member for 14 years. Savanich was diagnosed with cancer last year, and he had a stroke on Wednesday. The 5 children who died in last week's fire in St. Paul were remembered today. As family and friends mourn the loss, the children's tiny caskets were carried out of Shiloh Baptist Church. The Coppage children died Monday night when the triplex they lived in on East Lawson caught fire. Police believe someone set that fire.
As well as the children, losing the children, they've lost everything that they've owned, including clothing, household items, household goods, and it's going to be a real tough transition in the next month.
Police are now offering a $13,000 reward for information leading them to the arrest of whomever was responsible for setting the fire.
Another memorial tonight. Minnesota Muslims knelt in prayer to express their solidarity and sorrow for the people who were killed in last week's mosque massacre. 8 days ago, an Israeli settler entered a Muslim mosque and killed 39 Palestinians while they prayed. Raylan Story takes us to the Islamic Community Cultural Center for the most peaceful of protests.
Images of innocent people shot down by a single man filled with hate. Images that fill the heads of these Minnesota Muslims as they bow to their God.
They were killed while they were praying to God, making the most peaceful act in the world.
There is much sadness for these Muslims, but there are also demands.
The settlers should be disarmed. The amount of money and support that they are getting should be stopped.
Over food and drink, the plight of a people far away is ever present, and so are the questions.
And what is the next step? What are we supposed to do to defend ourselves while we're praying?
There is anger, but there is hope. The Muslims gathered here are not willing to give up.
The land has to go to the people who deserve it, the people who can establish justice on it.
If only the Palestinians and the Jews could agree on who that is. In Minneapolis, Raylan Story, 4 News Tonight.
The holy month of Ramadan is almost over. That's when Muslims fast, including the 22,000 Muslims in Minnesota.
A Wisconsin man suspected of fatally shooting his ex-wife is dead tonight after killing himself during a police chase today. Authorities say 52-year-old Robert Wieland of La Crosse shot himself as authorities tried to force his car to stop on a road in southeastern Minnesota. His suicide came the morning after police say he ambushed his ex-wife and her fiancé in a driveway in La Crescent.
And then he tried to get by me and he couldn't. And then the next thing I knew, I seen something go on in the car, and his car went in the ditch then.
The police chief said Anne Marie Wieland did everything she could to protect herself, including obtaining a restraining order. Robert Wieland had been jailed recently for stalking his ex-wife. The 18-year-old shot last night in downtown Minneapolis is in critical condition at Hennepin County Medical Center. He ran into City Center and collapsed where an off-duty police officer performed CPR on him. Officer Jim Caju may have saved the young man's life. Caju has performed CPR on shooting victims in the past. Police have not made any arrests in last night's incident.
An anti-abortion activist was convicted of first-degree murder tonight in the death of Dr. David Gunn. Dr. Gunn was shot to death last year as he arrived at a Florida clinic to perform abortions. The jury in Pensacola deliberated 2 hours and 40 minutes before convicting 32-year-old Michael Griffin. Griffin was sentenced to life in prison. The prosecution in the case had agreed not to ask for the death penalty. No chance of parole there for 25 years for Griffin. A hostage situation in Salt Lake City ended tonight after 5.5 hours. A man carrying a handgun and a bomb took 18 people hostage at the Salt Lake City Library. A plainclothes sheriff's deputy was able to sneak in with those hostages, and that deputy eventually shot and killed the gunman. No one else was hurt in that incident.
A lawyer who helped lay out the case for the impeachment of President Nixon today resigned from the Clinton administration. White House counsel Bernard Nussbaum stepped down after the president told him he could no longer stay on when the two met last night. Nussbaum came under fire for his repeated contacts with federal officials who are investigating the president and his wife concerning a failed Arkansas savings and loan. Nussbaum also drew criticism for removing papers from the office of his deputy, Vincent Foster, shortly after Foster died in an apparent suicide last July.
And here's one for conspiracy theorists to sink their teeth into. Early yesterday morning, doors were kicked in and computers stolen from the John Marty for Governor campaign headquarters in St. Paul. Roughly $6,000 worth of equipment was lost, but more important to the campaign was the information in that equipment, lists of campaign supporters. The campaign has backup copies of that information and says little damage was done.
It's very disruptive. It puzzles me because I don't think it was the most valuable things they could have taken. It was the most damaging to us, but we're putting it all together now and we'll recover fine.
In Tuesday's precinct caucuses, Marty came in first in a poll among DFL candidates for governor.
So we had that good news, and then this bad thing happened.
An investigation to come, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Much more ahead now on Your News Tonight.
If you're hesitant about donating to a food shelf, you should stick around for our story after weather. It's about a woman who owes her comeback to generosity. And then later in sports, a wild one at Williams as the Gopher basketball team welcomes those friendly folks from Iowa. Ralph John Fritz will have lots of highlights.
8 seconds on the clock. This is 4 News.
It was 1955 when H&R Block began preparing America's taxes. And throughout the decades, we've always stood behind our work, even went with you to an audit, no charge. Our prices have always been reasonable, and we've continued to grow with more experienced tax preparers than anyone. It all holds true today. The times and tax laws have changed, but one thing hasn't changed. You can still trust H&R Block.
Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Hardball. And making that connection. Eat dirt. Slide in. Don't change your direction. Smoke 'em, bake 'em. Dominate by shit intimidation. Throw heat. Play the window pastime of the nation. Baseball, baseball. Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Check it out. Catch the fever.
For 1994 full and partial season ticket information, call 33 Twins.
Seattle, average rainfall 39 inches. Phoenix, average high 103 degrees. Minneapolis, average low 7. Every year, Anderson windows and patio doors stand up to the harshest sun, the coldest wind, the hardest rain. So much for the law of averages.
Introducing the all-new GMC Sonoma. We've packed everything we know into this one, Sonoma from GMC Truck.
At Fuddruckers, you start with a fresh ground half-pound hamburger. Then you pile on the toppings. So who makes the world's greatest hamburgers? Fuddruckers and you.
Some of the wounded people of Bosnia are getting help after an evacuation.
That story leads our look at your world news tonight. 37 people evacuated from the Muslim quarter of Mostar, 4 of them under the age of 15. It was the first medical evacuation from that area since January.
In Jerusalem, Israeli police fired rubber bullets and tear gas at dozens of young Palestinians. A press photographer and several of the Palestinians were hurt.
UN Secretary General Boutros Ghali today met with exiled Haitian President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. Aristide rejected a tentative proposal to try to restore democracy in his country.
Heavy rains in Peru have caused massive floods. At least 2,000 people have been hurt and an unknown number killed.
A ferry that ran aground off the coast of Finland yesterday is no longer taking on water. A navigational error and ice apparently causing that accident.
And astronauts on board the Space Shuttle Columbia spent their second day in space. Today they did experiments designed to help eliminate the lightheadedness they get when they come back to Earth.
Apparently Dramamine just doesn't quite cut it for a trip like that.
I think they need something a little stronger than that.
Yeah.
Maybe some people down here on Earth were a little lightheaded today with the nice weather. People just looked like their eyes were kind of glazed over. Nice weather finally.
Astonished. Well, it was mild. I don't know if I'd really call it nice. In fact, if today was supposed to be the nicest day out of the weekend, we probably got cheated just a little bit. We had those clouds move in midday and a few sprinkles out there. It was interesting, though, to watch the clouds move over us throughout the day. The weather system on the East Coast finally winding down. Those folks back there finally ended up with some sunshine today. Boston, the greatest amount of snow ever recorded for a season, close to 90 inches in Boston. They've just had storm after storm after storm there. Our next storm lining up is coming in off the west coast right now. It's just going to nick us to the south tomorrow, but could bring enough moisture with the cold air we have over us to bring us some flurries by tomorrow afternoon. The next system we're watching also coming down from the northwest. In fact, our flow is going to become northwesterly over the next few hours, few days, and with that we're going to see some colder temperatures here. Satellite picture shows the clouds that we had over us. They thickened up. We had some sunshine early in the morning, then the clouds, sprinkles, then the clearing as the clouds moved away from us. We did end up with a little bit of precipitation. Most of that was to the south and to the east of us, though, as that weather system moved on just to the south of us. Just that band of rain right across southern Minnesota, including the Twin Cities, and it lasted for a few hours, but in spite of that, only a trace of rain officially at the National Weather Service. More than that fell in some places, I'm sure. Temperatures outside at the present time starting to cool off up to the north, already dropping down into the 20s. We're still holding on to the upper 30s here across Minnesota, but with the skies clearing now, the temperatures should drop down close to freezing. Weather guide today, we made it up into the 40s, 49 degrees. It was a mild day in spite of the clouds. If we hadn't have had the clouds, would have seen 53 or 54 easily. A low temperature of 32 last night, a trace of rain at the airport. Outside right now, the skies are partly cloudy and 38 degrees. We'd still have some high humidity. The dew point's up there around 36, so we've got 92% humidity. If we clear up and the winds don't pick up like we think they're going to, we could see a little bit of patchy fog forming, but it looks like we may dodge that. Take a look at the jet stream. That's what's really going to be changing in our weather. We've had mild weather this past week. We've had mild air over us today with a westerly wind flow, but look what's going to happen as we start out next week. A big buckle in those upper winds are going to push some cold air down over us. We're going to be as far below normal for the next week as we were above normal last week, so that means high temperatures probably somewhere in the teens around midweek for us. The next weather map that we need to talk about is the overnight weather map. As this low pressure area moves to the east, this cold front's going to slide in from the northwest. So increasing clouds throughout the day tomorrow, and with that we're going to see a little bit of flurry activity and some light snow into tomorrow night. High temperatures tomorrow, 40 degrees early in the day with falling temperatures, and that's going to be the end of this mild spell, at least for a couple of days. Here's what the forecast looks like for us for tonight. Partly cloudy. We'll drop down again to around freezing with west-southwest winds at 5 to 15. For tomorrow, we'll see increasing clouds after a little bit of sunshine in the morning and then some flurries in the afternoon. 40 degrees for a high early in the day, and falling temperatures with west winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Clearing late tomorrow night after a little bit of light snow, 17. And then for Sunday, Monday, we'll have variable clouds with some flurries still possible, and 28 is all for a high. And look at the extended outlook. As we head on into the middle part of the week, you're going to see daytime highs only around 18 degrees by Wednesday, and we do have a little bit of some light snow coming in for Tuesday, again on Thursday, Monday, Sunday. I don't know if we'll accumulate anything, but our fake spring is over.
Oh, wow. Don't you love coming in on the weekend to deliver this kind of newscast line?
Yeah,
we
I
like
always
having
like to sit
you,
in
but...
for Matt and play with the A-team for a while.
Sure.
Not have to work with Shelby for a night.
That's a big break.
They give you a break, you know, work with us, okay?
That's right.
Thanks, Mike. Well, this is Minnesota Food Share Month, a month set aside to remind people how important food shelves are. 1 in 16 Minnesotans used a food shelf last year. That's nearly 300,000 people altogether. And when it comes to background and age, hunger doesn't discriminate.
I'll be getting good at this.
Finding food in the kitchen is not a problem for Martha Field's family, but that hasn't always been the case.
I was struggling to try to pay the rent and try to feed the kids, and I knew that there was very soon going to be no money left. It was such a relief to know that I could have food for the boys.
That was 5 years ago. Martha was a school teacher then, but because of a sudden hearing loss, she could no longer teach. And to top it off, she was also going through a divorce.
For a while, I had some minimum wage jobs, and that helped. But it was terrifying to see that all I had worked for was going to end. There was just no way I could keep the family together.
Things look much different now. Martha is back in college getting her master's degree, but she says she'll never forget how the food shelf helped her through a very difficult time.
It's so important. It's to continue to support the food shelf. And I remember that as being a life-saving experience for me.
Minnesota Food Share hopes to collect 3.9 million pounds of food in March. And we hope they do it.
Almost a pound per person in the state. That's a lot of food.
That is a lot.
Good
Hope
luck.
they accomplish it.
Gopher hockey team tried to nail down the WCHA title tonight. That was up in St. Cloud. Ralph John Fritz has all kinds of highlights from that and great basketball at Williams Arena, too.
Another company may be promising your business big savings compared to AT&T, but they're comparing apples to oranges. When you compare our best price to theirs, you'll discover leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense. If another company is promising your business big savings compared to AT&T, compare our best price to theirs. You may discover those big savings are just an illusion. Leaving AT&T doesn't make a lot of sense.
Baseball, baseball. Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Hardball. And making the connection. Eat dirt. Slide in. Don't change your direction. Smoke 'em, bake 'em. Dominate by shit intimidation. Throw heat. Play the window. Pastime of the nation. Baseball, baseball. Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Check it out. Catch the fever.
For 1994 full and partial season ticket information, call 33-TWIN.
The Light. Light FM 103 WLTE. Turn it on.
At Fuddruckers, you start with a fresh ground half-pound hamburger. Then you pile on the toppings. So who makes the world's greatest hamburgers? Fuddruckers and you.
What would you do if happiness came in a pill? Would you take it or say no way? Patients as young as 12 call it a lifesaver. Is it a miracle cure or a dangerous drug? Next, Oprah.
Monday at 4 on Channel 4.
An incredible Gopher game tonight.
Oh.
It's maybe even an understatement.
Just saying, if somebody would have told you before the game, Gophers are going to score 107, you'd think they'd win by 50 like they did against Indiana. Took them 3 overtimes to do it. A remarkable game, one of the best I've ever seen. Minnesota 107 to 106. Boy, I tell you, the most remarkable this season by far. The heavily favored Gophers led most of regulation in this one with the help of plays like this coming up here. It is a 3-on-1 perfect fast break. Here it is. They're breaking out. Bashan Leonard ends up getting the basket. Last I saw, he had 38 points, a career high, but it went to overtime as the shot clock winds down. Jim Bartles just gets it off, puts Iowa up by 3. 16 seconds to go. Then the Gophers need a 3 to tie. Watch.
Fights his way in.
Now, second overtime, Chris Kingsbury, 3, and the Hawkeyes went up by 6 points, but the Gophers fought back to tie it at 92, and a third overtime. Shot clock winding down, desperation shot again. Townsend Orr, it's good. Gophers by 3, 97-94. Then a steal, Gophers fast break basket. The Gophers put them away. As we said, 107-96, they win by 11.
Yeah, it was exciting. The game was close, and I was watching from the bench. I found out regulation time, and it was tough. Stomach was turning. But I'm glad we pulled it off.
A lot of Gopher fans are happy too. 10th win in the conference, 20 wins on the season for the Gophers. And that NCAA, here we come. 84-59, Illinois over Penn State today. Northwestern again over Wisconsin. North Carolina upsets Duke. Mild upset there by 10. And Central losing to St. Thomas 73-62. The Gopher hockey team continuing its run for the WCHA title tonight in St. Cloud. They beat the Huskies last night. They needed a win, coupled with the Colorado College loss for the CC title there. WCHA over CC. But a funny thing happened on the way to the first place trophy. St. Cloud going up on the Gophers early. First off the power play. Sandy Gossow starts for the Huskies. Almost over after a period here when they scored 3 times. They scored shorthanded here. Rosograd. Billy Lund did the damage. Wasn't too long ago. He was leading that team up at Rosso to the state title before the Gophers could get into the locker room to regroup. The Huskies strike again on the power play. Mark Gagnon scores on the tip-in. St. Cloud State goes on to beat the Gophers 8-4. And it did get a bit chippy. These two teams started this type of play last night. Tempers flaring again. Not a good way to carry on. 8-4 is the final score. The Minnesota Gophers losing to St. Cloud State. And look at this. Colorado College must lose that game to Denver for the Gophers to share in the WCHA title. It's tied 4-4 in the third period. Well, another Gopher team vying for a conference title, the wrestling team taking part in the Big Ten tournament in Iowa City. They are through the semifinals right now. Iowa leads it with better than 102 points. The Gophers are within striking distance heading for tomorrow's final, though they have qualified a school record 9 wrestlers for the NCAA tournament. Penn State, as you see, is third. Arizona and head coach Jerry Kindle at the Metrodome to take on the Gophers in the Oscar Mayer Classic. Former Gopher and twin there. Gopher Wes Denning, son of Cretin-Derham Hall's Dennis Denning, providing the RBI single. The Gophers beat Arizona today 9-5. They're 2-0 in the tournament, heading for tomorrow's finale against Ohio State in that one. Okay, so the Gophers winning there. Welcome back, or I should say we're going to be back in just a moment with the mini version. We're going to come right back. We're going to have our mini version of the Prep Sports Report right after this, so stay with us.
Have you been dreaming of a brand new, right off the showroom floor car? Or at least something different than what you're driving now? Your dream could become a reality at the GM88 Auto Show during the Auto Show Fast 5,000 9-day giveaway. You can win $5,000 towards the purchase of a new car or truck. One prize per day will be awarded throughout the show. Just stop by the Auto Show, fill out an entry blank, then watch WCCO TV, the Pioneer Press, or listen to WCCO Radio to see if you win. You could be on the road to driving your dream car sooner than you imagined.
Say goodnight, for the light of the daytime is gone. The moon may be bright while you slumber through the night. You can hear low but clear.
Introducing World Business Class from the Global Alliance of KLM and Northwest Airlines.
To be a champion gymnast,
You know it has to be in perfect shape. It's not your hands, your arms, or even your legs. It's your lungs.
What makes this Ford Ranger so special? Well, for starters, it's built here in the Northland, and it's America's best-selling compact pickup for the 7th year in a row. But what makes it extra special is this Northland Edition package. You get $1,500 in options at no charge, a split bench seat, stereo cassette, special wheels, sliding rear window, and Northland badging. All that for only $198 a month for 24 months. The Northland Edition Ranger, it really is one special truck. See it at your Northland Ford dealer.
Well, as we started to say, Boston over the Twins today, 9-5, with Roger Clemens against Scott Erickson. But when pitchers go only 3 innings in spring training, the matchup's really about meaningless, about as meaning as an all-star game. The big guy, though, Kent Hrbek, reporting big this spring. And is he hitting big? He's swinging a good bat. Herbie's single here in the 5th inning, bringing a little life to the Twins' offense today. At Fort Myers, it scores Alex Cole and brought the Twins to within 7-2 of the Red Sox at that point. The very next pitch, though, designated hitter Chito Martinez sent a Scott Bankhead pitch over the right field wall. The Boston lead was 7-4, but the Twins get no closer. Boston hangs on to win it 9-5. Twins still looking for that first win against some class action in the major leagues. And as we said, also welcome back to the mini edition of our Midnight Express at 10 o'clock, though, this evening, a little bit early. We start with high school wrestling, where the team champions were crowned today in Class AA. Apple Valley, the favorite, going in, taking top honors. Chad Erickson beating Simley's Dan Verheda 15-7 at the 103-pound weight class. Eagles winning the title 31-18. They're favored going in, and they win it big. Canby in the A, as you see, tying Foley 25-all. No tiebreaker in the state final matches. 2 familiar names going in that one. Defending champion Foley and perennial power Canby, as you saw. Foley's Jamie Keller gets the pin at 119 pounds. Foley and Canby share the state title, co-champions in that one this year. Well, when the Bloomington Jefferson hockey team lost the game and its #1 rankings, the Jaguars just kind of smiled, taking some pressure off the 2-time defending state champions. Tonight, section finals against Burnsville. They had their way. They issued warning they're going to be the team to beat in the state tournament next week, folks. Why? Because of people like Joey Bianchi. He scored here for Jefferson. Yes, they have another Bianchi. Completely dominating Burnsville from start to finish. Star defenseman Mike Crowley's shot there, put in by Toby Peterson. Jefferson wins it in a rout, and do they? 10-1 is that final score for the Jaguars. In 8 AA, it's Moorhead in 4 overtimes, defeating Elk River. That final is 4-3. In Section 3 AA, pardon the fans for standing up, but after all, it was overtime, and that is when White Bear Lake's Todd Skorich scored against Hill Murray. Big win there, an upset. White Bear edges the Pioneers of Hill Murray 2-1 in that overtime game. In 6 AA, it is Minnetonka Skippers in the 3rd period, leading Wayzata. 3-1 is the score there. Section 4 AA, Osseo had to rally against Blaine. 3rd period this afternoon, Josh Kristoff off the pretty pass to tie it at 2. That goal sends it to overtime. And yes, you guess who in the extra session? Kristoff again, this time in a breakaway goal. Osseo completed its comeback and will head to the Civic Center next week, posting a 3-2 win over Blaine today. That was 3 AA. And 1 AA, Rochester Mayo wins the battle, the Rochester teams, 5-2. That's 3 wins in a row. In that game, the 3rd meeting between those two rivals, and for the 3rd time, same result. Mayo's Mike Rippentrop scoring to help spark the Spartans. Adam Elliott sealed the state tournament trip with an empty net goal. Mayo moves on to the big show, beating Rochester John Marshall, as we said, for the 3rd time this season. In other hockey, the Class A section finals going on as well today. And Section 1A, top seeds Farmington and New Ulm battling it out in Mariucci Arena. Farmington's Randy Laynard to Dan Suter right there on the break. Suter puts it away. Eagle goalie Duncan Larson didn't have a chance. Top-seeded Farmington goes on to a 4-2 win. Tigers take a little time to celebrate their trip to the state there. 2A finals. Hermantown shuts out Proctor. That final, 3-0 Hermantown. State boys swimming, St. Thomas Academy's Tom Malchow. Big day. He won the 500-yard freestyle, the 200 individual medley, and he is the defending champion. That's in swimming. And the team event goes to Bloomington Jefferson over Edina and Albert Lee. 5AA quarterfinal girls basketball. I have one final. North beating Park Center 53-49. Did I have enough? Yes, I'll need about 3 of these.
Here's a well-deserved glass of water, and I got to say, in Class A wrestling, really, can it be? Can be? I guess it can be.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming. What's in here?
Come on. Don't you have another good line to get us out of here, huh?
No, we're out of time for that.
So we're driving around in my brand new Escort Sport, and she starts complaining about how I don't spoil her enough. And I say, spoil her? Now you're talking. Because not only did my Escort Sport come with a spoiler, but I also got some alloy wheels, a tack, and an airbag at no extra charge. Then she starts saying something about commitment, and I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. My Ford dealer is committed to my satisfaction. Then she looks at me and says, maybe we should just be friends. And I say, okay, okay, okay. You can drive. The Escort Sport. Check it out, your Ford dealer.
Come on, kids. Shrimps on the table. Now you don't have to go to great lengths to find great-tasting shrimp. CPAC bakes in just 10 minutes.
Baseball, baseball. Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Hardball. And making that connection. Eat dirt. Slide in. Don't change your direction. Smoke 'em, bake 'em. Dominate by shit intimidation. Throw heat. Play the window. Pastime of the nation. Baseball, baseball. Catch the fever now. Baseball, baseball. Let me show you how. Check it out. Catch the fever.
For 1994 full and partial season ticket information, call 33-TWINS.
You think home improvement stores are only for those who got A in shop? Get hip to the Square.
Builder Square is also for those who got A in home economics. 3 million items, all value priced for every home repair and home decorating job imaginable. Builder Square has all the tools, materials, and know-how you'll ever need at great square deal prices. Builder Square.
We'll get you squared away.
Okay, all of you garage sale fanatics, listen up. You still have tomorrow yet to catch the Twin Cities collection of everything, from tools to potpourri to Hot Wheel cars for the kids' sandbox or wherever you want to put them. The sale goes on all day tomorrow at the St. Paul Civic Center.
And contrary to popular belief, that's not where Ralph gets his clothes.
Oh, real funny.
Good night.
Consider the elements of the remarkably quiet KitchenAid dishwasher. Surging power that washes perfectly. Clean lines and sparkling finishes. The style and power of KitchenAid. An idea that flowed from Mother Nature. KitchenAid, for the way it's made.
Well, I went on down to SeaWorld Park, and they all asked for you. The sea lions asked, the manatees asked, and Shamu asked me too. Then I went on up to Busch Gardens Park, and they all asked for you. The gorillas asked, the elephants asked, yeah, they even inquired about you.
During your family's Florida vacation, explore the wonders of SeaWorld in Orlando and the wilds of Busch Gardens in Tampa Bay.
Where they all asked for you.
Let's compare these two babies. The baby on the left has a beating heart. So does the baby on the right. The baby on the left has arms, legs, fingers, and toes. So does the baby on the right. The baby on the left can turn and jump and kick. So can the baby on the right. The difference is, the baby on the left was just born, and the baby on the right would very much like to be. Life. What a beautiful choice.
Dress down for leukemia, Thursday, March 24th.
Cinema CCO presents MASH, starring Elliot Gould.